To Brewer fans, he'll always be the kid.
Nice warm Sunday afternoon. And the 2-2 pitch. He struck him out swinging, and the inning is over. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone! Delivers. Robin sends one to left. Back toward the wall. Get up! Get out of here! Gone! For Robin. Ball line to Yount. It's short. He throws. It's over. The Brewers have won the American League pennant. Milwaukee, you have a World Series.
Yount makes a great catch, and Rodney Amos has thrown the first no-hitter in Milwaukee Brewer history. What else can happen to this team? Rodney Amos has no-hit the Baltimore Orioles on a great game-ending catch by Robin Yount.
Well, this ball is hit hard. It could be. Robin Yount drives it to the wall. He's going to get it. Robin Yount. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. The third bird ahead for the cycle. Robin Yount. He did put it in the right part of the ballpark. 409 to the base of the wall. Give that man a baseball. Here's the pitch. Robinson's a bouncer over the head of Paliarulu in the left to base hit. There's 2,500 for Robin. 2-run score, and the Brewers lead 7-0. That's number 2,500 for Robin Yount.
The pitch to Yount, lined into shallow right field. Eisenreich coming on. He dives and cannot make the catch. It bounces all the way out to the wall. Robin might get an inside the Parker. He's going to third and getting the green light. Robin rounding third, heading to the plate. Inside the park, home run for Robin Yount.
Back in against Mesa, who is working from the windup. The 0-1 pitch. Swings, and there it is! A base hit in the right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin.
And so the legacy on the field becomes less important than the legacy off the field. Because while we've had a lot of wonderful players, great players play here, and we've really been blessed in having some great players, 2 or 3 of which are already in the Hall of Fame, there is no player in the first 25 years of this franchise who typifies this city, this state, or this franchise like Robin Yount did. And that's the real legacy of all of this. It's a legacy of dedication, conscientiousness, and loyalty. A whole generation of people who had grown up watching Robin Yount play could be very proud and remember, and when he went to the Hall of Fame, which he certainly will go, that he will go as Robin Yount of the Brewers. And that's the way it's going to be.
And that's just fine with Brewer fans. To them, Robin's on deck for Cooperstown. And when he joins baseball's immortals in the Hall of Fame, he'll do so as Milwaukee's very own. Robin Yount on deck for Cooperstown is presented by Ameritech.
Communications have brought our world so much closer together that recently a fascinating theory has developed. If you took the people you know and they took the people they know and continued on, you discover that everyone on Earth is just 6 people away from knowing everyone else. The world is shrinking because the world is communicating, and we're working to bring your world a little closer. Ameritech, your best link to better communication.
It would be a tough decision whether it was this year or 10 years from now. But I still feel like the timing is right. I feel like the decision was a right one. I'm confident that it was time to hang him up. That doesn't make it any easier today. I still miss not going to the ballpark every day. But like I said before, I think I would go through that whether I retired 10 years from now. And so it's just something I have to deal with, and I think it'll go away with time.
His name is synonymous with the Milwaukee Brewers. For 20 seasons, the kid roamed County Stadium. A whole generation grew up with him. Many could not imagine the Brewers without Robin Yount. That inevitable day came on February 11th, 1994, when Robin hung up his spikes for good.
I can say I've never really looked forward to this day, but it's here. I'm obviously, it's no secret anymore. I'm here to announce my retirement from Major League Baseball.
Brewers president Bud Selig affirmed that it was a bittersweet day for Milwaukee and the baseball world.
And so, while some will say that this is a sad day, I choose to think it's a day he has earned, and Michelle and his family have truly earned. He leaves the way a Hall of Famer should leave. And he leaves all of us a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sense of accomplishment.
Sal Bando is no stranger to accomplishment. The Brewers' general manager captained the Oakland A's championship teams of the 70s before coming to Milwaukee in 1976 to give a young team its identity. He noticed the same qualities in the young shortstop, the quiet leader who led by example.
When I came over to Milwaukee in 1977, he was just starting to make the progress of really being a shortstop that people were going to hear from. And by the time I retired after the 1981 season, Robin went on to have his first most valuable player season in 1982 in our first American League Championship team. And at that point, he really put it all together offensively and defensively, and he was the prototype shortstop.
He was a team leader by far. He did it differently than everybody else did. He led by example. He wasn't very vocal, but when he was vocal, everybody listened.
That is Robin's legacy. Memories that will always make Milwaukee proud of number 19.
The first thing that went through my mind is, isn't this exciting? I'm going to big league camp. Well, it was so exciting, I got to Arizona and my baseball equipment was still in California. So I guess maybe there was a little bit of excitement there.
A curly-haired 18-year-old showed up at the Brewers camp in Sun City in the spring of 1974 with barely a season of minor league experience under his belt. No one expected much from him, at least not right away. But one person recognized his ability.
And I knew right away that Robin Yount had talent. And Robin had such great maturity. I'm sure that word has been used a lot. It cannot be overused when you talk about Robin Yount. the way he went about his business. He ran everything out. He did it his very last game that he played. He didn't change in the way he went about the game of baseball, and I would suppose that is the biggest reason why he went on to have such a tremendous career.
Little by little, Robin learned the game. As the youngest position player ever in the American League, he took his lumps, but he hung in there. He paid his dues along the way. He was a student, always watching, quietly listening, and always learning.
But I'll tell you what, we had a group of guys that just, I mean, we meshed together as good as any team that I've ever been on. For that, there was about a 4 or 5 year period there of, we just had the right combination of people together that that was a team in the true sense of the word. You know, we gelled together really well on and off the field. Everybody enjoyed everybody else, and it was the most fun, that period of time, I think, of my whole career.
The Brewers began to gel in 1978 when general manager Harry Dalton appointed George Bamberger as field manager. Under Bambi, the Brewers went from a pretender to a contender. A team of no-names became known as Dalton's Gang, and with Bamberger pushing all the right buttons, winning came easily. This team of brutes made believers of the rest of the American League, punishing opposing pitchers with the long ball. Bambi's Bombers handled the 3-time American League champion Yankees in 1978, winning 10 of 15 meetings. And there, in the middle of this instant admiration, stood Robin Yount. No longer the lanky youngster taking his lumps. Robin was now a major component with a hunger to win.
And he maintained decent averages and respectable averages in those first 4 years, but in '78 I think he hit almost 300 and really went a step above what he'd done before and showed that he did have the ability to perform over a full season well enough to make himself one of the key players on the ball club.
Many expected the Brewers to fade after 1978. Many doubted Yount's ability to hit .293 and drive in 71 runs again. Shortstops of his day just didn't do that. But Robin only got better. In 1980, he set personal highs in virtually every offensive department. He nearly tripled his home run production to 23 and led the league with a club record 49 doubles. In the eyes of many, he arrived in 1980. Named to his first All-Star team, Robin was on his way.
The All-Star game was in Los Angeles. It was home for me, my first time as an All-Star, and got to go home and play in the game in LA. I didn't start the game, but I came in late in the game, and I got an at-bat or two, I remember. Played the last couple innings, but it was certainly probably the first really major highlight of my career, other than opening day, I think.
Another feather in Robin's cap came in 1981. Many knew Robin would mature from the youngster who committed a club record 44 errors in 1975 to the veteran who could lead the league in fielding. In 1981, he did. And perhaps he was as proud of that as he was for helping the Brewers reach the playoffs for the first time. On September 25, 1981, trailing 6-5 with 2 on and 2 outs, Yount faced Jack Morris.
Here's a drive to deep left. Got a chance to go. Robin, gone! A home run. The Brewers lead in this game 8-6. Boy, and you talk about a happy Brewer dugout.
A week later, with the Tigers at County Stadium, Robin would be center stage again. In the opening game, he collected 3 hits and drove in a pair to lead the Brewers to an easy 8-3 win. One more victory would do it. With the Brewers trailing 1-0 and a runner on first base, Robbins surprised Jack Morris with a bunt single. Yount beat the play to first base. That frustrated Morris. 4 batters later, it was Gorman Thomas against the Tiger ace. His sacrifice fly into right center field scored Robin Yount with the eventual winning run. The rest is history as Raleigh Fingers shut the door on Detroit and the Brewers earned their first playoff berth.
Goodbye, Detroit! Hello, New York! Hi, Raleigh Fingers! What a job he is being mobbed by his teammates as the Brewers have come from behind today to beat Detroit by a score of 2-1. Oh, what a victory today for this Milwaukee Brewer Ball Club, trailing 1-0 into the 8th inning. They have come back to win.
Certainly Harvey and I had become more than just player and coach, you know, over the years. He was there from the day I came to the Brewers, and I think he may have seen something in me that he could relate to, because he was a young player when he came up and basically kind of went through the same process that I was going through, and it seemed like he took me under his wing very early on, and we became good friends.
1982 will always be remembered as the Brewers' most unforgettable. What a season it was. But it really didn't get going until June 2nd. That's when Harvey Keene took over and let the boys have fun. The fun started right away. The Brewers climbed out of 5th place and rocketed right to the top of the American League East. The kid was right there too. He started well. Through the first 2 months of the season, he had a .304 average, 4 home runs, and 22 runs batted in. Robin took off under Keene. From the time Harvey's wall bangers began their plight for the pennant, Robin was truly rockin'. Over the last 4 months, Yount batted .342 with 25 homers and 92 RBIs. By mid-August, the chants of MVP began echoing throughout County Stadium.
Without a doubt, that's the most enjoyable part of my entire career, was the last week of the season and the last 2 weeks of the postseason.
The stretch run. The Brewers were the team to beat. Baltimore and Boston were closing in and making it a race to the wire. The schedule makers had perfectly mapped this one out. Milwaukee's final 13 games would be against the Red Sox and the Orioles. By the final weekend, it was down to Milwaukee and Baltimore in a 4-game series at historic Memorial Stadium.
It was a long chase to try to get back to that point with Milwaukee, and Robin had such a super year that year, he just decided that he was going to take it into his own hands and make sure their team won the pennant.
Milwaukee needed 1 to clinch. Baltimore was pumped, sweeping a Friday night doubleheader. Then easily winning a Saturday matinee, setting up a 1-game Sunday showdown, winner take all.
Having one of your biggest games of your career under those circumstances is, like I said before, it's just extremely rewarding, and it makes everything you've ever done to to get to that level, all worth it.
It was worth it. It was a game to remember, perhaps the finest in Brewers history. Robin would hit not one, but 2 home runs in the game. He would add a triple and 4 runs scored to lock up the Brewers' first pennant and his first MVP honor.
The way we got there and the feelings I felt after the last game of the season and after going 2 games down to the Angels and pulling that one off, the high that you get from games like that, I don't know that there's a higher, you know? I think if we would have won the 7th game of the World Series, I would have just experienced that feeling that I had a few weeks earlier one more time. So I'm not convinced that I never got to experience the feeling of winning it all, although I would really have liked to have won the 7th game just to be sure.
The moment of truth. This was what every big leaguer dreams of, the playoffs. For Robin, it was what he wanted for a long, long time. The California Angels quieted Robin's bat during the American League Championship Series. Although he hit safely in each of the first 4 games, his contributions were limited mostly to defense. In the 5th and deciding game, Robin was smack dab in the middle of the excitement, right where he wanted to be. With the Brewers trailing the Angels 3-2 in the 7th inning, Robin had the lead runs on first and second base with 2 outs when he stepped to the plate to face reliever Luis Sanchez. Robin worked Sanchez for a walk, loading the bases and setting the stage for Cecil Cooper. With a packed house rising to its feet in the 9th inning, Pete Ladd faced Rod Carew with 2 outs and a runner on third.
I can still remember throwing that ball to first base, and it seemed like it took an eternity for the ball to get across the diamond.
It was on to the World Series, the first for the Brewers and the first for Milwaukee in nearly a quarter of a century. The Brewers represented themselves in the American League well in the World Series against St. Louis. And Robin stood in the forefront of the heroics. In Game 1, Robin and Paul Molitor nearly single-handedly defeated the Cardinals, with Molly collecting a World Series record 5 singles. And Robin adding 4 hits and a run-scoring ground ball to drive in his second run of the game, the Brewers breezed to a 10-0 victory behind the razor-sharp 3-hit pitching of Mike Caldwell. 5 days later, Robin did it again, collecting a pair of singles, a double, and his first home run, giving the Brewers a 3-2 advantage in the seesaw affair. The 2 4-hit games put Robin in a class of his own. Not only was he the first player to ever get a pair of 4-hit games in a fall classic, but remarkably, do it in the same series. In the end, the World Championship went to St. Louis, but in the hearts of many baseball fans, the Brewers were overwhelming winners. At a special post-series gathering at County Stadium, fans paid tribute to the Brewers' great season, and Robin, as only Robin can do, gave fans a lasting memory of his own.
I was just coming off losing the 7th game of the World Series, and I was going to ride my motorcycle to the ballpark, and you know, I didn't care what anybody said. And a couple of my teammates were there with me, and the motorcycle was parked right next to the tunnel there. And all of a sudden, there was some egging on. Hey, ride the motorcycle, you know, go on, take it out now. And I was, you know, I think most people know that's a little out of character of me. And I certainly didn't want to do it, and the next thing I knew, I had that thing fired up, and I was taken off out the tunnel and was on the motorcycle. It was strictly a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't planned or anything like that. Your mindset at that point in time, you know, you're 1 out away from a no-hitter, and I think every guy on the field is saying to himself, I've got to do anything I can to catch this ball or make this play.
1987 would be a season filled with great moments. It was the year of team streak, but one that stood out in the Brewers' record start occurred on April 15th when Juan Nieves threw the first no-hitter in Brewers history. An appreciative Orioles crowd rose to its feet when Eddie Murray stepped to the plate in the bottom of the ninth.
And I can remember just chasing it, and as it was slicing away from me, kind of just reaching out, and I didn't even realize I was diving with both hands to make sure I hung on to that ball regardless of anything. And it's funny because you do watch it and it looks like, he kind of short-legged that one, and you know, he made it look better than it really was. But you know, like I said, all that's in your mind at that point in time is catching the ball, making the play. I think that year, strictly from a number standpoint, was probably my best offensive season of my career, as far as we weren't quite as strong collectively, offensively, as we had been in the late 70s, early 80s teams, where, I mean, you could go up there blindfolded and get hits on those clubs. It was easy hitting in those days. Not that we weren't a good offensive team at this point, but I just think from a personal standpoint, that probably was my best offensive season of my career.
In 1989, Robin crossed over into another dimension of superstardom. On July 2nd, he became one of the youngest players to reach the 2,500 hit mark, and so began the Yount count, as his name climbed the all-time list in a number of categories. Robin set several personal bests, hitting safely in 19 straight games and hitting his 200th career home run. He set club records with 17 straight stolen bases and by playing in 276 straight games. Robin compiled a .318 batting average, his 4th straight season over the 300 plateau, while adding 21 home runs and 103 runs batted in. Baseball again recognized him as the American League's most valuable player. Robin became only the 3rd player to win the distinction at 2 different positions, joining Hall of Famers Stan Musial and Hank Greenberg. He was the first player to repeat the honor since Yankee great Mickey Mantle in 1962.
And it felt real strange to be the center of attention of a ball game that meant so much for us to try to win the pennant, you know. And it was just a situation that was a little distracting, and I certainly remember the first 2 at bats. Just, you know, I was basically up there with my hands around my throat because I was not in the frame of mind I needed to be in to get a base hit. You know, I was caught up in the surroundings and the moment, and certainly my concentration wasn't on what it needed to be, and that should have been the baseball.
The kid came of age in 1992. With base hit number 3,000, Robin reached a milestone that guaranteed him a place in baseball history. Flash bulbs popping all over the place. The Yount countdown to glory reached 0 hour at 9:48 p.m. on September 9th, 1992. Back in against Mesa, who is working from the windup. The 0-1 pitch. Swings, and there it is! A base hit into right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin. Only 16 players preceded Robin in this achievement. He became the first to reach the mark since Rod Carew in 1985, and only Ty Cobb and Henry Aaron realized that feat at a younger age. Robin's many other accomplishments over 20 seasons put him in an elite class.
Jimmy Gantner. He was a guy that all his talent was in the insides, you know. He made everything that he was or that he could be, he did that on his own, you know. It wasn't all the ability that he was given, and you got to admire a player like that. Paul Molitor, well, there's a guy with a ton of ability to go along with the guts to be a great player. And you know, it's just too bad that Paul had some of the injuries he had throughout his career, because I think, well, I don't think, but I know without those injuries, Paul Molitor, not that he isn't one of the all-time great players, but without a doubt would have been one of the all-time great players to ever play the game.
The triumphant trio, Jim Gantner, Robin Yount, Paul Molitor. Together since 1978, they combined for 49 years of Major League service, better than 6,500 games, and nearly 25,000 at-bats. This trio shared a rare milestone, an 11th inning single at Kansas City by Paul Molitor on July 5, 1992, gave the trio 6,399 combined hits, baseball's all-time record.
While all Earth's creatures have the innate ability to communicate, only one has the ability to advance its communications. And that's where we come in. Ameritech, your best link to better communication.
It's a great town to play baseball in, organization-wise and from a lifestyle. It's just a place that I think any player, if you can't play baseball in Milwaukee, you can't play anywhere. I don't look at Bud Selig as the owner. You know, Bud Selig is a personal friend of mine, someone that, you know, when you need someone in your corner, he's always there. Someone that treats his players as people versus as a commodity. He's just, I don't know that you see that much in sports anymore. When you get the response from the fans that I've received over my career, it's easy to go out there and play. I mean, you enjoy going out there and doing what you can to try to win ball games, knowing that they appreciate that.
Certainly many of Robin's peers have appreciated him over the years.
Robin was a current shortstop at that time, and I was very intimidated. I always remember calling him Mr. Yount the first time I met him. But no question, even back then, he didn't know me from anybody, but he was very polite and courteous and was willing to be open to myself. And of course, the relationship just grew from there.
He's like a quiet superstar. You know, he went about his business. He ran the bases hard. He went down the first base line hard every time. He just played the game hard and played it 100%.
I've never seen him jog down the first baseline. As a third baseman, you kind of like guys that hit you the ball and kind of jog at first, and he always made you rush it a little bit because he always got down there really fast.
It's one of those things where I've learned a lot from Robin over the last few years, and and hopefully it carries over onto the field. I think it has so far, but for the most part, I'm definitely a better ball player because I knew and played with him.
Robin had the unique ability to rise to the occasion, and anytime there was a big clutch situation, you know, Robin Yount usually came through, and I think in my book he's going to be known as one of the most feared hitters in clutch situations that I've played against.
Anybody who played with him or against him knows that he was a Hall of Famer, and that. And when I guess you don't really think about that until it really hit home the day he got his 3,000 hit, and I think that was probably as big a thrill for all of us here as it was for him.
You know, the success he had didn't go to his head. He was just an ordinary guy, and that's the way he stayed his whole career, just an ordinary guy, and just day in and day out played the game consistently well and played it hard, and as a person he's never changed. As all the success that he's had in the game, he's never changed.
We can always look to Robin Yount and say, look, Robin's a player who came in as a shortstop, had to move to the outfield when he had arm trouble. He did it. He did things to help the ball club win. He was an unselfish player.
The one thing that I really admired about Robin is his love for the game and how much fun he always had playing. Regardless if he was hitting 220 in April or May, we would always be able to go out and laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other.
Robin Yount was a man of few words but many actions, always active on the field. He's a consummate ball player, consummate competitor. I remember we were drafted in the same draft in 1973. I was the fourth guy drafted. There were a couple of guys before me. One of them was Robin Yount. I said, who is this guy? And over the years, he proved that the Milwaukee Brewers made a great choice. And if anybody exemplifies the spirit and the history of that team, it's Robin Yount.
His friends are more than fond of Robin. He doesn't need to compliment them. And always as he leaves them feeling proud just to know him. When Robin goes on holiday, there's no one living in our lane. Oh yes, folks still live in our lane, but they're not like Robin. Robin, I've never told you, but I'll be yours until we're old. Please learn to call me in your dreams. The way I'm looking at you is just as it seems. He's talked about before he gets there, though he can never understand it. And I would like to be his alone, but I'm shy and can't demand it. But when Robin gives his love to others, there's no one living in my heart. Oh yes, I keep others in my heart, but they're not like Robin. Robin, I've never told you, but I'll be yours until we're old. Please learn to call me in your dreams. The way I'm looking at you is just as it seems. Robin, I've never told you, but I'll be yours until we're old. Please learn to call me in your dreams.
I mean, I'm honored to have people even say that you know, you have a chance of going there. But it's certainly not something I'm going to lay in bed wondering if it'll ever happen. It's just another one of those things of, it's not the reason I ever put the uniform on. I enjoyed the competition of the game. I enjoyed the feeling you got winning games. Obviously the big games, you got a greater feeling than just any other game. But that's what I played the game for. The feeling of the competition and the feeling you got from doing a good job on the field. There's other interests I have outside of baseball. Like I say, I think most people know I have an interest in motorsports, and I have a great love of the game of golf. I mean, I really don't know anything else other than playing games, you know, whether it be racing something or getting in a golf match or getting back in baseball in some manner. But as far as what that may be, those are the three things that interest me most. I think just time will answer what direction I choose.
And whatever he chooses, it'll be right for him. So long, kid. Enjoy life. See you in Cooperstown.
Third and getting the green light. Robin rounding third, heading to the plate. Inside the park, home run for Robin Yount.
Get up! Get off the wall! It is off the wall! Drives it to the wall, he's going to get it! Robin Yount! He's going to do it! He's going to do it! The third, a hit for the cycle, Robin Yount! Hit in the air. Yount makes a great catch! Wrapped on the ground to shortstop. Brewer dugout. The pitch for the runner going. A swing and a drive to left center and deep. This one could get out. Get out of here. Go! Grounded toward short. Robin sends a bouncer over the head of Paliarulu in the left to base hit. There's 2,500 for Robin. Left and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone!
The most important thing is that he was a guy that gave it everything he had every time he went out there. And that's basically all I ever tried to do.
Robin Yount, on deck for Cooperstown. Was presented by Ameritech.